Today, I'm going to be starting a new series all about Foundry, deploying Azure AI, models and projects and all that good stuff. You don't want to miss this. Let's check it out. This is the path that we're going to be following for the next few videos, developing generative AI solutions in Azure. There are a few exercises to get through, and we're going to start today with prepare for an AI development project. As we go through, we'll explore more concepts like models, creating a generative AI chat app, and a Gen AI app that uses tools, fine-tuning a language model, and then applying guardrails to prevent the output of harmful content. So let's get stuck straight in to this first one, preparing for an AI development project. Now, there are a few prerequisites that you need to take note of if you're going to follow along with this. What you're going to need is an active Azure subscription. You're going to need Visual Studio Code installed. I'll put the links to all these in the video description. And Visual Studio Code is something that I've installed. I've done all of these prereqs, including Python version 3.13xx, Git installed and configured, Azure CLI installed. And if you click on all these links, you get instructions on how to complete those tasks. I've done this on my Mac, and it was very, very easy to do within Terminal. I've not tried it on Windows, but I can only imagine that it will be even simpler. So without further ado, let's get on and create our first Microsoft Foundry project. And we need to be in ai.azure.com. And we're going to create our project right within here. And Foundry uses projects to organize models, resources, data, and other assets to develop an AI solution. So if it's not already enabled at this point, try the new Microsoft Foundry experience. So click on there to start building it and select the project to continue. So select or search for a project. If you don't have one, we can create a new one and it will give it a default name. So there we go. I'll just accept this default name in this instance, and I'm going to go ahead and click on create. Now, that did take quite a few more moments than I thought it would, but there we are. It was just a couple of minutes, really. And welcome to the new Microsoft Foundry. If you click on next, it tells you all about how it works. We'll not dwell too much on that at the moment. Although actually, yes, let's just cover this briefly. So your project endpoints can now be found on the Foundry homepage, and it tells you all about your project endpoint, which is this one here. And then your Azure OpenAI endpoint is included there as well. And you can copy these if you need to. Clicking on next, we can ask AI anything, anytime. We can use the search or ask AI to find what you need in your project. So now what we need to do is move on to creating an agent. So let's just click off that for a moment, and we'll do that on our own terms, shall we? So here we are in our welcome screen, and we can see we can use a model to make existing endpoints or deploy a new model, and we can view our deployments. We can build an agent from here. We can code an agent from here. We can see our API key, our project endpoint, and our Azure OpenAI endpoint that we just described there. And we can see model selection. We can test in Playground, explore models, compare models, and so on and so forth. So all good stuff. So that is our home page. Now, what we want to do before we do anything else is deploy and test a model. So what we need to do is explore models. So we need to go to the Discover page here. We'll click onto that. And within there, we need to select the Models tab to view the Microsoft Foundry model catalog. So in we go. And in this particular instance, what we want to do is we want to search for the GPT-5.2 model. So let's put that in GPT-5.2 and we will hit enter. And here it is. What we've got here is a model card, and this provides us with the information about the models to help you understand their capabilities and their limitations and determine if they are suitable for your requirements. So we get some information here, its key capabilities, some quick facts about the model, key use cases, out of scope use cases, And very importantly, you can click to see the pricing, the technical specs, training disclosure, distribution, and more information. Really cool stuff. So what we want to go ahead and do is we want to go across and select deploy. And in this case, I'll just click on default settings. You can click custom settings to set up your own SKU or quota, PTU, spillover, and guardrails, but we'll go for the default settings on this occasion, and it sets up the model for us very, very quickly, I might add. Here we are in our model, in our playground tab for GPT-5.2, and we can go through the tabs, we can see the details, and then we'll load the details of it. We can go into our monitor and see some of our model metrics and input tokens when it gets going, and evaluation as well. I mean, there'll be nothing to see here just now because we're just creating this. So let's go back to our playground, and in the instructions box, let's just put in some text just to give it a whirl. I mean, there's some suggested text in here anyway, so I'll just tweak this slightly. You are an AI assistant that can provide information. I should have had this ready to copy and paste in really, but it's not too long. And advice about AI software development. So there we go. We've got that in place, and that's our instructions. Now what we can do with that being in place, we can move into the chat pane on the right and we can chat with the model here. So let's put in describe 3 considerations for working with large language models. Guess I could have typed LLMs there. For AI application development. Okay, and now let's hit on the arrow here to generate that response, and let's view that response. And as we can see, the model does provide some key considerations for us to think about here. So model choice, capabilities and cost, latency trade-offs, fit to task, pick a model whose strengths match your use case, context window, and memory strategy, ensure the model can handle your prompt, etc., etc. Operational constraints. We've got number 2. We do have 3, as we asked for, which is great. We've got 1 on prompting, grounding, and reliability. So prompt design, grounding with data. And finally, and most importantly in my view, security, privacy, and governance. Next, let's have a little look at viewing Foundry Azure resources and project endpoints. So staying in the Foundry portal, let's just move across to, at the top here, go into Manage. The Management Center here is where you can view and administer your projects and their parent resources. Let's take a look at what we have got. The resource level relates to the Foundry resource that was created in Azure to support your project. So we can see this on the left-hand point here. We've got our resource details. This resource includes connections to Foundry services and models and provides a central place to manage user access to AI development projects. Then the project level relates to your individual project, where you can add and manage project-specific resources. A resource can support multiple projects. The first one created is the resource's default project. So if we click this arrow here and we can go to the parent resource, let's take a look at that. This is the parent resource associated with the particular project. The resource configuration details are displayed here. So note that the Foundry resource has an endpoint, which the client applications can access resource level functionality, such as Foundry tools that are shared across all projects in the resource. So now in the top menu, let's go and select Home, and it takes us back to our home page. Now, again, we mentioned earlier the API key, the project endpoint, and the Azure OpenAI endpoint. This information is used to connect to your project level resources from client applications. A bit more detail on these. The key is used for key-based authentication to models and tools, though in most production scenarios, you should consider using Microsoft Entra ID authentication based on authenticated user and application identities. The project endpoint is used to access models provided directly in Foundry, including OpenAI models using the OpenAI Responses API, and to access Foundry-specific APIs such as the Foundry Agent Service. And then finally, the OpenAI endpoint is used to access models using OpenAI APIs, including Chat Completions API and the Responses API. To finish off on this first video, I'm going to go through installing the Foundry Toolkit extension for Visual Studio Code. So as a developer, you may spend some time working in the Foundry portal, as we are here, but you're also likely to spend a lot of time in Visual Studio Code. And the Foundry Toolkit extension provides a convenient way to work with Foundry project resources without leaving the development environment. So what we want to do is start Visual Studio Code, or VS Code as it's more widely spoken of. I've already got it running here on my Mac today, so I will just switch over to it, and I've got it all configured, all ready to go. So let's take a look, and if we go to the extensions option here on the left, we can expand that out, and what we want to do is we want to search the extensions marketplace here for Foundry Toolkit. So let's pop that in right now, and it should come up with it for us. And Foundry Toolkit for VS Code extension is what we want. So that's it there. So there we go. We'll click onto it. And what we want to do is we want to click on install. So this is our Foundry Toolkit for VS Code. We'll click on install. It installs for us there, and we can see it motoring away on the top left as well. So as that installs, let's have a very quick review of what is Microsoft Foundry Toolkit. It's the new name for AI Toolkit, and it's a VS Studio Code extension that helps you build AI agents quickly with built-in access to Microsoft Foundry resources for model deployment, agent management, and more without leaving VS Code. So Microsoft have renamed this product to reflect its full integration with Microsoft Foundry. The previously separate Microsoft Foundry extension is now merged into this single extension. All existing features remain unchanged. And with the Microsoft Foundry Toolkit, you can discover and evaluate models from providers including Microsoft Foundry, Foundry Local, Anthropic, OpenAI, and more. Build, test, and deploy AI agents with Agent Builder for no-code prompt agents, or create code-based hosted agents with debugging, streaming visualization, and model context protocol tool integrations. And you can manage Microsoft Foundry resources directly from VS Code. Browse projects, deploy models from the catalog, and create, deploy, and test agents with the Microsoft Foundry Agent Service. So some of the core features we have here are models, and we can see all of these like the model catalog, the playground, the fine-tuning, the model conversion, and profiling. Then we have agents. We can create agents. We have the agent builder, the tool catalog, the agent inspector, and much, much more. And then we've got Foundry resources as well. And it gives you some great getting started functionality that you can go through and learn as you go, which is certainly applicable to me, being very, very new to all of this sort of thing. So that Foundry agent extension didn't take very long to install, and we are all good. And now we can select the Foundry Toolkit from the left-hand pane here, and we can see on the left here, we've got our Foundry Toolkit here, and we've got our resources here that are ready to be used. You will be asked to connect to Azure the first time you go into that, but that's a very quick and painless process. So here we go. Now, as you go through, we can take a look at models and see what we've got in here. We've got that GPT 5.2 model that we had put in place earlier in the video, and we can do various things with that. We can edit it, we can view the code, copy the key, copy the endpoint, we can delete it if we want to, but we go into this, we can see the basic information that is connected to that model, and we can explore the AI model capabilities right from within here. And what we can do is we can try AI models with code, text, or see how thoughtfully they respond to different prompts. And don't forget to review the model's responses carefully, as AI can make mistakes. So we've got some suggestions here for what we can do. We can explore typical scenarios where traditional applications can leverage large language models, structure the output in a markdown format. We can add descriptive captions for the image. We can write a Python function to the input text in base64. So if we hover, well, click those, it goes and generates that for us, and we can see what GPT 5.2 is doing, and it does it nice and quickly and nice and simply for us. So we'll leave it there for this first video, and we'll keep on going in this series. And to summarize what we've gone through there, we've created a Microsoft Foundry and explored it in the Foundry portal. We've also explored the Foundry Toolkit extension in Visual Studio Code, which provides a convenient way for developers to work with Foundry projects and their assets. So if you've finished exploring Foundry Portal, do remember that you should delete the resources you've created in this exercise to avoid incurring any unnecessary Azure costs. So in the next exercise, in the next video, we will be looking at exploring and comparing models. Be sure to check back for that one soon. So that was preparing for an AI development project. I hope you liked it. Let me know what you think. That's only the start. We're going to go through more and build as we go. I'm learning along with you as we do this. This is all very much out of my usual sort of comfort zone. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit subscribe, and check back very soon for the next video in the series when we will be comparing models. When I filmed it, it will appear up there or up there. But I'll let you go. Take care, stay safe, do travel well, and I will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.